Welcome to Connected Conversations. I'm really grateful that you're here and sharing your time. If you like the conversation that you hear, please like it and share. I'm Emma from Unique Phoenix. I'm a soul coach, energy healer, well-being guide, and an unapologetic, curious soul. Connected Conversations is here to bring love, healing, and connection to our everyday lives through open and authentic conversations. Every single conversation, I'm privileged to interview women and men in our communities that are here being their authentic selves, sharing their unique talents with the world around them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we can get to know them and what they offer much better.
Hi, my name's Karina Francois and I'm a naturopath. I've been in practice for 20 years. I'm also an author. I love what I do. My job entails getting to know people, getting to know their health background, getting to know their social, emotional, and spiritual background. And then I use my tools to help support them in any way that I can to bring their body to a balance. We all have different weaknesses, and naturopathy is all about establishing what those weaknesses are and then finding solutions for the person to bring back their vitality, their health, and reduce a lot of the symptoms that may have presented with.
Hi, and welcome to Connected Conversations. They are here to bring healing, love, connection to our everyday lives with authentic and open conversations. And I am deliciously excited because our topic today is well-being, health and well-being. And like, what better person to bring in on this conversation than Karina Francois, who is an amazing naturopath amongst a plethora of other skills that you have and modalities that you have under your belt. Highly intelligent, highly educated, and the depth of your knowledge around health and well-being, Karina, is mind-blowing. I love it. I love being around you. So incredibly passionate about what you do. Not only have we been connected via business for quite a few years now through the communities that we're around, but also you're my naturopath and my kid's naturopath as well. And the journey that we've gone on in the past 6 months together has been mind-blowing, not just for me, but seeing my kids transform their health has been amazing. And I just want to say, from that client perspective, and particularly being a mum and going into it, like how you were with my kids is just phenomenal. Like, they've come away, and you know, when you just don't think they're listening to you, the choices that they make that I don't whine at them about now are quite incredible, and the things that they think about is really quite amazing, actually. So I want to thank you for that, for giving my kids that space, because how you approach naturopathy and what you do in your practice is pretty phenomenal. How are you today?
I'm really good. I wanted to say I'm super proud of you also, because you followed, you know, all instructions and you've definitely reaped the benefits. And I've seen the transition and the transformation that you've gone through, and to get to where you're at today. And yeah, from the first time I saw you to now, and the first time I saw your children till now, how different things are, and taking on board the advice, and then empowering yourself. So a naturopath is a teacher. So, you know, it's about teaching clients what they need to do, and, you know, hopefully they will take that on board and then see the rewards, you know, on all levels, and then be motivated by those rewards, because you become motivated by how good you feel on it, you know.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that from my clients as well. Like, you know, they'll quite often be thanking me, but in the end, I'm much the same as you. You've taken it on and you've made the choices to make the changes in your life, and then you start to see the benefits of it. You know, I'm working with them purely on an emotional and, you know, mental level, and and then they get to go. I mean, mind you, I do absolutely suggest about health and well-being. That's a huge part of what I do. However, it is amazing to see that with someone, to see them take their own, whether it's emotional health journey or health journey,
Yeah.
to a completely different level, and a level that you can't understand. Like I, felt quite healthy before, but how I feel now, and also being in tune with my body more as well, like just foods that could take me weeks to figure out weren't great for me, I can eat once now and go, oh no, that's a no.
Yeah.
Or, oh, that's a big yes. Like I can feel, the vitality of me eating that. I can feel how good it was for me. I'm really curious though, because you've only been doing this for 20 years. And I say only,
Yeah.
right, because it's not your whole story.
No,
So,
it's not.
no. So how did you get into being a naturopath first? That's my first question.
Yeah. So I became a naturopath through my own personal health journey. So in my early 20s, I became really unwell, and I lost my vision. And at the time, they said to me that it was due to a virus, and there were a few things happening around that time. And it was never really confirmed why I, lost my vision. It was diagnosed as optic neuritis, and at the time I was told that I had MS. So, and that potentially that was going to be my journey. But they couldn't give me a definite diagnosis as to what had really happened to me. So my mum put me onto this naturopath. Her naturopath was Honey Pullman Buell, and she was actually in Berwick. And I went and saw her, and, she gave me a small bottle of tonic herbs and some vitamins and minerals, and taught me all about nutrition. So I've always been passionate about exercise. I mean, I was an aerobics instructor by the time I was 17. I always, watched my mum. She was quite impressionable, always on these diets and so on. So I was really interested in nutrition and well-being and so on. And so when I became unwell and nobody could give me the answers, Mum put me onto this naturopath. And within a couple of weeks, she'd retaught me everything there was to know about nutrition. So she reduced the body to a cell and explained that once you understand how the body operates and you understand at cellular level what's required, you never have to diet again. So it was really interesting, because I used to follow, Weight Watchers and this diet and Life Be In It and all these sorts of things. So I started seeing her for quite a while, and I think she saw the passion in me. She was the vice principal at the uni, at Deakin Uni, and she was running the naturopathy course. And I remember saying to her, I really, really want to help people with their health and so on. And she goes, interesting you say that. Here's a pamphlet. We're taking the next lot of students for next year. I said, I think I'm too old for that. She's like, no, I think you'd be perfect because you've had the experience, but you still have to go for an interview. And I was interviewed by David Fitz. He's an amazing naturopath. He still works out of Brighton. And he also taught me a lot through his clinic. I was a student at his clinic and so on. So he accepted me in, and it took me 6 years to do the naturopathy course. It's not as easy as people think. I almost quit every year, but Mum kept me going. And then, I went through my divorce, and what was a hobby became my livelihood and my, ability to support my children. And luckily I'm doing something I'm really passionate about. And and then from then on, I went to Germany and studied. I did, lots of training overseas, and, expanded to biopuncture and iridology, and I'm a herbalist now, and homeopath. And, 2 years ago, I think it was 18 months ago, I became a Pilates instructor, and I'm always finding, ways to grow. And and I just love using all the tools to help teach other people to support their body. And that's what I think I'm here to do. And if I can't do it, I actually feel quite down.
Yeah, and it's interesting, when I've spoken to a lot of people, it's often your own personal journey that leads you into doing what you do. And that's, my story as well. Like, I've had a lot of mental health issues over the years, and no one could quite explain, like, we could talk about my story and but the more I got into health and understanding my body, and, I've grown up in and around it and always fascinated about fitness. But yeah, like it just kept leading me to want to understand the mind more, because I kept believing this crazy brain of mine.
Yeah.
Or I stopped listening to it and started listening to my heart. Woo! Huge changes. Like, that was massive alone. And, that affects the cellular level. And I do want to say, I do love that about your approach, because I've seen a lot of naturopaths in my years, and because I've been in and out of it since, I was 16, 17. And I do like that you have an intuitive approach about it as well. And I know that you bring counselling in also. It's kind of just really slides in there for you. So I do love that. But I love that that was your own health journey, and that's how it got you into it. And, when I see all your qualifications, and I'm going to pop them up there, so all the details will be in the blurb and all that kind of stuff. And I may not have enough room, but we'll pop them in there anyway. But your vibrancy always comes through, and the passion that you have for it is absolutely undeniable. But it's very science-based, the way that you approach
it is. Yeah.
And because I know people that have gone through naturopathy, and I've known people that have dropped out because they're like, I cannot keep all that in my brain. And, because they've gotten a couple of years in and gone, wow, I had no idea. I've known someone that's done Chinese, is a Chinese therapist and Chinese herbologist and all that stuff. And they said the same thing. They got into it and had no idea. It's the same as being a doctor.
Yeah. Well, at uni, we're alongside other allied health professionals, nurses. So you learn, you learn anatomy, physiology, you learn all that. But instead of learning dispensary as in medicine dispensary, you learn nutritional health, counselling, herbs, and so on. So the tools that we use are more about preventative health and supportive, as opposed to treating symptoms.
Yeah.
Although I know now a lot of natural medicine is going towards that symptom-based science, which is not the philosophy of naturopathy at all. We're all about supporting the body holistically and searching the cause of what's, and then dispensing, as opposed to, I've got a pimple, here's something for your pimple kind of thing. So we look at, all right, so what could potentially be causing the acne? Is it your liver? Is it your kidney? Is it your gut? What's going on with your body? So I really love the old-fashioned naturopathy and the way it's practiced, because you go back to the basics of cellular health and then you get the results. And then you can streamline into more the symptoms if you need to. But the majority of the time, you treat the cells and you don't have to go down that pathway. So it's really interesting.
Oh, I totally agree with you. That's one of the things I've always noticed about it. And I've definitely tried both sides of medicine, natural medicine and more conventional. And, I'm always led back to natural medicine, because I've never found a solution, because it's, to me, and in my experience, it's always kind of been like at a really surface level in terms of how they can treat me. And I'm not saying there are amazing, options out there. However, I do fully believe that if we can intertwine both and, and cohesively work together, the solutions and the cures that can be found would be mind-blowing.
There's a place congruently for both sciences. And, there's so much good in medicine. I mean, I watch some of those doctors and nurses and so on, especially in ICU. And, there's just so much good to be said for that. But I think if we work on preventative medicine, then we can avoid a lot of the hospitalizations and so on as well. Building your immunity, using the tools that, nature provides. Nature has all the answers. We just have to look for them and find them. And
we're going to get to that, because I've got questions around that specifically. But okay, because I feel like you've answered it, but I do want to ask really specifically, what keeps you passionate?
What keeps me passionate? I know it's in my body. It's in my. I like to be of service. I like to, Yeah, I like to be of service. And I think that we don't need to suffer every day. Like, I have people coming in saying they've had a headache for 6 years and they've not been able to find what the cause was. And then we do food sensitivity testing, we correct digestion, a few other things, and they come back and say, I can't believe it, I haven't had a headache for a couple of weeks now. And so there's lots of suffering that's going on physically that we could potentially avoid and support our body to not have those symptoms.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me passionate, seeing the results of committed clients. And I love plants and I love using plants. So, watching what these plants can do to help support a body and witnessing it. I'm in that privileged position where I witness change. So I can see it for myself, and to witness change for 20 years is different to actually reading it from a textbook. So when you get the confirmations on a daily basis of, or the little text message, or, hey, Karina, 3 days, I'm not rushing to the toilet, or just the little things that help give people their personal freedom in their health, is what keeps me passionate.
Yeah, I must admit that's probably similar to me in my business, like just seeing people be able to shift through and get to the other side and have a sense of freedom within themselves, and then to go on and make really great choices. And I've had clients that have gone on to make incredibly different health choices that they just didn't know were possible before they had made really good emotional choices. So raising their emotional intelligence, they suddenly were open to, hang on a minute, I'm feeling my body differently, and they're more self-aware and with more self-knowledge. And I've had clients that have had back pain for years, and then we've dealt with the emotional stuff, and then they've come back and gone, oh, but then I started thinking about I could go and do this, and I tried all these different things, and suddenly I was getting different answers because they were asking really different questions, because they had this freedom and confidence and trust within knowing their own body that they could. I remember one lady came back to me and said, I walked out of my doctor's office and I went, what do you mean? And so she said, this wasn't the right place for me to get this seen to. And then went off and found, went to do a couple of other different things and came back and said, I'm actually without back pain for the first time in 15 years.
Yeah.
But sought out natural therapies and hadn't considered it before, but also thought, some worthiness issues. Because do you feel that? Do you feel people don't go after their health because perhaps they don't feel worthy of it? Like, is there any?
Yeah. They put themselves last. Most women, and I know it's a generalization, but I see a lot of women in clinic, and they're like, too busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I don't get time to take care of me, and I just grab some Vegemite on toast on the way out, kind of thing. And then I get home, and when everyone goes to bed, I spoil myself, and they use food for pleasure. So they're on this roller coaster of, supporting everybody else and buffering everybody else's fires and so on. And they're not listening. They're not really in tune and listening, until sometimes the body really knocks them with a little pebble. And then if they don't listen to the pebble, it's two. And then if not, it's a big, big boulder comes and hits them. And then they start to go, hold on a minute, what's going on here? I don't feel well. If I don't feel well, I can't take care of my kids. So maybe I need to reassess where I put that priority. So, but yeah, as women, men do it too. Men, like men are, I guess, a lot of men are programmed to go and earn the money. So the guys that I see in clinic tend to get up, have a coffee, have a smoker, and they don't eat till afternoon, and then have their big meal at night. So when they need most of their energy, they're actually running on adrenaline. So they burn out because they're out there hunting, And I know that's generalizing, because a lot of women work really hard as well, but that's generally the pattern that I see. And then you see women, trying to run a business, trying to do the kids, trying to keep the husband happy or whatever. And, this lifestyle of rush, and they don't prioritize their nutrition so well.
So I feel like, because I have a lot of these conversations, I feel like we're almost being trained to ignore our health.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like fill it up with everything else, and that's not really that important. But actually, if you nourish your body and your mind, I promise, and I'm sure you can say the same thing, that actually life becomes easier and
And there's
simpler.
clarity. Yeah, there's definitely more clarity. It's simpler. You don't, it helps sort out moods and mood reactions and relationship mood issues, that might go on and so on. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Can I also ask you, how important is gut health? And I already know the answer, but I want this out there because it blows my mind how much this is like, it's almost given like a little sugar coating around it. Yeah. How important is gut health?
So gut health is important for many reasons. So you sort of, this is the first point of contact between you and the environment. So your mouth is the first point of contact between you and the environment. So your digestive system is your immune system, right? Integrity of your gut isn't maintained, then you're going to have a lot of overreactions and reactions and be more susceptible to getting sick. Gut flora is really important. Having enough enzymes in your gut, having the right acid alkaline balance in your gut, it's really important. It's the heart of our nourishment. If that doesn't work, so you've got the immune system, then the heart of nourishment, if that doesn't work properly, then your cells aren't going to work properly, and so you're not going to feel very vital or energized or so on. So a lot of disease starts in the gut. And also, the majority of our serotonin and so on is in the cells of our gut. So it's immunity, digestion, and mood, all three things.
Okay, so I want to get a bit more specific now, because I know for me these things showed up and I'm incredibly self-aware. So, and for some people out there, they just might not have the awareness and perhaps been around this. What happens? So let's say you've got inflammation in gut health isn't good, and that's creating some inflammation. What is that going to do? Like what things can show up?
If you've got inflammation in your gut, you can get things like skin conditions, eczema, for example, asthma. You develop hypersensitivities to your environment. So you've got all these, environmental things, like if your gut health isn't right for September, for example, then you're going to react to every pollen thing that, comes by you. If gut health isn't right, sinus issues, headaches, you're more prone to catching things, being unwell. Obviously, then you've got the bloating, the pain, the feelings of feeling nausea, all those sorts of feelings. But then it can also affect your mood. So if your gut's not working really well, you can suffer anxiety, stress, depression, all those sorts of things. So, the gut is the home for a lot of things, and a lot of symptoms that you have start when the gut is distressed and not, not working properly. And it's because obviously excesses of life, bad diet, diets that we were taught were good, like the diet pyramid, we're all taught, to eat a certain way, and that wasn't even designed by nutritionists. That was done by the cereal and dairy industry. So a lot of people think they're being healthy, but yet their education hasn't been quite correct and not in line with what they require. So then you get all these GI disorders that lead to so many other things. And then if your nourishment isn't right, then everything else is going to go out of whack. You're going to be affected hormonally.
Yep, that was me.
Yeah. So,
not because of my diet, but because my gut was out, and absolutely.
So, there is a gut-brain connection with anxiety and digestion, which a lot of people aren't aware of. There's so much, psycho-gut connection that, I feel sometimes that kids are over-dispensed, antidepressants and so on. And if they just were to be taught how to eat right, then their mood would change completely. And, I've got an example at home with my son, because, he had really bad anxiety, and he's been really focusing on his health. And I've noticed the last 3 months, with all the supplements and herbs and everything, he's just coming back to that little kid that was always happy and, mucking around and joking, and it's like, oh, he's back. And he's like, it's working, mum. So when you bring a balance to the gut, you start eating well and you clean up all the rubbish. It cleans up all the rubbish. If you're not going to the toilet and you're constipated, you've got a lot of toxins circulating around your body as well. A lot of our water is absorbed in the lower part of our colon. And if you're not going to the toilet every day, at least once a day, then that is going through your system and creating toxicity, which can make you feel really tired. Some people say to me, oh, I just want to curl up and just go to sleep. And I'm like, well, have you actually gone to the toilet? How often do you go to the toilet? And they look at you like, what do you mean? I said, if you're not cleaning that out, you're always going to feel tired. Your body's like a rubbish bin. And then they start tracking their bowel function, and then we improve the bowel function. And even just by doing that, it changes the mood and how they feel. They don't feel so depressed. Because, depression obviously has, some level of social, emotional links, but it also has some physical, nutritional links as well. And just looking at one and not looking at everything means that you're not addressing the whole picture. So I think it's important. Yeah, I hope that.
No, I totally agree. And I can say that about my kids too, like working through, the challenges that we have. And we've taken dairy out of our diet because it just doesn't work for our family. And it's interesting to see how they're coping a lot better. Like they're almost less stressed. And so it's been really amazing to watch that I've gotten rid of gluten and dairy, which I did, not dairy, but I did have to grieve bread for a little while, I've got to say. I'm not going to lie about that. But at the same time, I noticed the difference within myself. And so gut health is absolutely, and stuff like that. If you've got things so let's talk about food, because I've been listening to some podcasts and this blew my mind recently, that our food industry is controlled by the very people that manufacture foods that aren't great for us. So they're creating a guideline. And you just mentioned it before. This pyramid that we've been working from was created by industries.
Yes.
It's like this glass of milk every day was a marketing campaign by the dairy industry.
Yeah.
And yet, so it wasn't actually like from nutritionists and from dietitians and people that have absolutely no invested interest financially. And these are the people that are on the boards feeding out to people what's good. So I want to talk about processed food. I want to ask you that. So what does that, because I know what it did to my body and I've taken it out. I have very little processed food, if any. I think it's very sparing, and I always read the crap out of labels. But, I've made changes like having organic food, so not having pesticides and chemicals on them, and just the difference that it's done to my health as well. Like, that's been amazing. And good quality products. Like even if you're eating pasta, looking at where it's come from and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So when we talk about processed foods, if you're just walking through the supermarket, what are some of the things that you'd look for to go that I keep away from that?
Well, naturopaths, as a naturopath, one of our philosophies is we believe everything is better as a whole. So rather than in parts. So if you look at something and it's been, bits have been pulled out of it and then put back together in a packet, we believe there's no vital energy. There's no energy as such. There's no living energy in that particular product. So there's a few things to consider. One is the vitality and the energy. So we believe in vibrational medicine, in that if you put something in you that is, whether it be an animal or a plant or whatever it is, that's vibrationally taken care of properly and loved and cherished, and you eat that, you're eating the energy of that. So if you're putting things in your body that aren't taken care of and that aren't looked after properly and so on, particularly meats and so on, then you're eating the energy of that. So that's not really, so anything that is living has a vital force. And when you put that vital force inside you, and that's why I love tonic herbs, because of the vitality that it brings. It gives you more vitality in your cells, and it has all the vitamins and minerals, how nature brings it. Yeah. Packaged foods, a lot of packaged foods, even the health food section is not always that healthy, because it's things that are pulled apart and put back together. So nutritionally speaking, chemically speaking, that might be good for your cells, but the vibration's gone. Yeah. So,
yeah, but in saying that though, are they necessarily good? Because I was a vegetarian for a long time, and then I saw you and went, oh my God, I'm not actually processing my iron in the way that I need to, and I need to eat meat to get to that. So I have a good balance now. But in saying that, I had a lot of vegan options, and when I started reading the labels and understanding what was in there, and actually not being able to really go, oh my God, that's in there. Like, how can that be good?
Processed food. So yeah,
they're very processed.
Yeah. So I do see a lot of vegans that are quite unwell. And the reason why they're quite unwell is because they do buy a lot of the vegan products, we'll call them products. To eat like a proper vegan, you would have to look at the Indian diets and the Sri Lankan diets. That's properly combined vegan foods. Right? But again, it's a thing where people get in their mind, they haven't got time, they don't know how to prepare it, they don't know how to soak the beans and so on. So yeah, just because it's marketed as a health food in the health food section or in the vegan section, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to provide health benefits to your cells. So when you study cells, it's about getting adequate protein, good fats and good quality carbohydrates from natural foods. And then bringing in the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, and those sorts of things to help support your cells, because they're all little chemical, little factories, each little cell. And if you're putting the right things in, they all work together and everything's vibrant and happy and healthy and so on. So, yeah, you can read the packets as much as you want, but you'll find that most things in a packet don't have that vital force that, as one of the main naturopathic principles, is all about vitality and vital force. And once that's removed, then, it kind of loses its whole connection to Mother Earth. And yeah, so you've got
Look, I have an egotistical approach to cooking. I'm not going to lie about it, right? I do, because I like cooking from scratch, right? So that's why I had to mourn bread, because I got really good at cooking bread, right? Like, I was amazing at baking it. All gone now, because I cannot do gluten, can't figure that out, way too hard basket. So I actually get incredibly proud of myself when I've cooked something from scratch. And the kids and I cook together. They cook all once a week themselves. I've got 3 kids, and so they're learning to have to cook from scratch, which I can tell you is always welcomed with a lot of eye rolling. However, I get super proud of myself when we're sitting at the table and like, Mum, this is really nice, and I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, I cooked that from scratch. That is all, like, there's nothing in there from a packet. Like, I get super excited about it,
because a lot of it isn't cooking anymore. It's preparation. It's like, open this, put it there, chuck it in, bang, 10 minutes. But you could still do, like my stir fry today, you can still do that in 15 minutes.
Oh, I love a good stir fry. I'm still on now I'm on the phase of I want to learn how to do Indian cooking, because I love it. But so if I'm going to have prepared Indian, I'll buy it from a good quality place.
Yeah.
Because I love it. But I am onto that, because I want to know how to make butter chicken from scratch. I know it's hard. I want to know how to make things like lamb sag and all those beautiful things. I really want to learn how to make all those sauces, and learn how to use the actual spices and the herbs and everything that goes into it.
Yeah.
Because the flavor that you get from an Indian place, mind blowing.
I know.
But even things like like Greek cooking and Italian cooking, like, there's so much in a jar these days. And when I spoke to my kids and talked to them about actually how to make proper bolognese and putting all the vegetables in and cooking them off, they were like, what are you doing? And I said, this is actually bolognese. It's not just meat and, like onion and garlic, like, with some sauce in it. It's actually got a lot of stuff.
And carrot and everything. Yeah. Yeah, going back to the old ways, and bringing the vitality back in. And you can see, you know, all the different colors and all that when you cook. That, you know, eating from the rainbow is fantastic. So you need the colors in there for all the vitamins and minerals. Even if you don't understand what the vitamins and minerals are in there, it doesn't really matter. As long as you've got all these colors on your plate, you're getting a wide variety of vitamins and minerals and so on. So
Thank you. You know, for parents watching, I think that's actually really important, is start to look at it like a rainbow. Because I've done that with the kids. I was like, I don't know if I'm happy about this meal. It's pretty boring. And they go, what do you mean? Well, it looks boring because it wasn't enough color for me. So they've started to understand and bring that in as well, like adding a little bit of color. The green's a very important one, I know. So, and sugar, look, I think this is widely used. I do want to ask, because we talk about, I mean, look, processed sugars, we know, are just, they're not good for our bodies. But let's talk about natural sugars, because I think people can get a bit confused about, I know people that eat a crap load of fruit. Can we talk about that?
Yep, sure can. Hold on. I'm just going to make sure my dogs stop barking because we're all in lockdown. So natural sugars, so carbohydrates, there's three things our body needs. We need carbohydrates, we need proteins, and we need fats. Carbohydrates are the main energy source. So they help provide energy. So carbohydrates come in different forms. They come in fruit, vegetables, and grains. Okay. So we definitely need carbohydrates. We definitely need the natural sugars. Ultimately, sugars from vegetables, a lot of people don't realize that there's sugar in vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
Sugars in vegetables are the main source that we should be consuming. The reason for that is that they slowly release in the body. And so we can maintain our energy for a long period of time. And what you will find with vegetables is that not only are you going to get the sugars, you're also going to get the fiber, the vitamins, and the minerals, oils. So having good quality vegetables is a really good form of natural sugar, right? Then secondary to that is your fruits. Your fruits are really important, but not mounds and mounds of them. So if you were to be hunting and gathering, you wouldn't be eating, I don't know, 6 apples in one sitting, or, you know.
You can't, you get full.
So you've got to think like that, right? So even like your berries, I mean, I tend to get the punnet and eat the whole lot. We don't really need to eat the whole lot, you know. So fruits, 2 or 3 fruits a day is probably enough of the sugars from fruits, as long as you're having like 6 cups of salad and veggies, right? And then you've got the grains. Now, the grains are highly dense sugars, and the grain industry was developed, one, because it was a cheap way to feed lots of people. And grains in different countries, you know, are of benefit. So, for example, teff grain, quinoa, and those sorts of things. In a lot of countries, they provide protein. But what's happened in Australia, Canada, America, and those places is that grain has been farmed a lot, like wheat and, you know, soy as well. We'll say soy, farmed a lot to create lots of products to feed masses of people very cheap, right? And that's what's led to a lot of issues with diabetes, cholesterol, high triglycerides, and also it has affected people's well-being because it creates a lot of inflammation. So where there's grains, there's not just sugar, there's also, it tends to draw water, so people get really bloated and so on. So having a diet that is full of natural sugars, mainly from vegetables, a little bit of fruit, and then a tiny bit of grain, like a little bit of rice or a little bit of quinoa, is, you know, the best way to eat for the cells of the health of our cells. So yeah, natural sugars are important because they provide energy, and yeah, we need to be, you know, having lots of natural sugar from vegetables. So all the vitamins and minerals.
I love all of that. And because you're also speaking volumes to metabolic health as well. And are you able to just to break that down and give us like a really because people are talking about metabolic health a lot,
Yeah.
and it's something that I've looked into and I love it, but I couldn't break it down into layman's terms to explain. Can you just talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old? Like if I was saying,
for metabolism, you mean, to help improve metabolism?
well, for metabolic health, so what's good metabolic health? What does that look like?
Good metabolic health looks like this. When you eat, you're using your energy as you go, as opposed to eating, storing, and then trying to burn it off.
Yep.
Right? So good metabolic health, you would feel a couple of hours after you eat, 2 hours after you eat, you would feel a little bit hungry, right? And you know that you're going to eat, and then that's going to bring you energy. So that's what good metabolic health looks like. It also means your nails look good, your hair looks good. Mine is a bit out of the way today, but
I've got a hat on because mine went all fluffy. Don't you worry about a thing, sister. I gotcha.
At home day, but your nails grow, your hair grows, your skin glows. So metabolism is all about eating, creating energy from that food, and your cells being able to access the energy to provide you the vitality, not just for doing things, but just to survive. Like, we forget our body wakes up every day and it looks after us. We survive, like it helps us live, like we're here, we're breathing, our organs that are involuntary, we don't even pay attention to that, like we're breathing, our heart beats, our circulation happens, and all those things are part of metabolism, right? And very important for your metabolism to be working properly so that then they respond as well. So
I love that. That's basically, if you've got good metabolic health, you're going to have enough energy and your body will actually feel hungry, and it will tell you. And, you can look at all the diets that you want and all that stuff out there. But if your body's hungry and you're eating really good food, then eat it, and exercising as well. So I do, because I love it. You've got such amazing wellbeing practices, and because I see you on Facebook and you're sharing stuff all the time. What are some of your go-to wellbeing practices that you have in your life?
So the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I check in on my body, and I close my eyes and I check in. How are my feet? How's this? How's that? And I actually ask myself, what do you need today? What do you actually need today? I do that every day. I get up and I have a couple of glasses of water with lemon, and then I drink my yerba mate tea, which is a South American tea. Since I was a baby. And a lot of people will criticize it because it has natural caffeine in it. But for me, it's an amazing drink. It's filled with antioxidants. And it's my go-to thing, and it's tradition. So food is so much more than nourishment. It's also culture. So for me, having that in the morning connects me back to my roots, and I feel like me. And then I choose what I want to eat through the day. And a lot of the times it involves at least 6 cups of salad and veggies, 3 pieces of fruit. I normally have about 35 to 70 grams of nuts, and I have lean protein as well. And occasionally I'll have some of that really good quality bread that I was telling you about today.
Yum.
And I exercise a lot. So I love to get outside and, do either 10Ks of walking or Pilates or, something. I have to every day do some sort of exercise, and fresh air is really, really important. And I tend to do a half-hour meditation throughout the day, whether I'm in the clinic or at home. I always do some sort of meditation and check in on my body quite often to see what it needs. And I use a lot of deep breathing as well. So even when you're stressed, you can use the breath to trick your body to make you think you're not stressed. So stress creates a lot of disease. So breathing is really important in prevention of inflammation and, adrenal stress and so on. So the breath is something that I use a lot. So
if we're not breathing, you're not living.
Yeah. So
I think people forget that, like I often say to people, breath is life.
Yeah.
Like that's life. If you're not breathing and then becoming aware of your breath, like you're talking about, it just absolutely, it can completely change a situation for you and calm the body, calm the mind. Yeah.
And every morning, I only do it once a day. I take supplements. I take zinc, selenium, iodine, vitamin C, glutathione, N-L-acetylcysteine. I take pine needle, charcoal tablets, and I take some herbs when I need them. I take B12 and vitamin D. Yeah, so they're my things I do every day. And I take concentrated forms of vitamins. And I find when I don't take them, I don't feel as good. So, yeah, I mean, we can't control how food's grown because we're not growing it all ourselves. So who knows how many vitamins and minerals are in there. So I do use nutritional products to help boost my energy. Yeah.
Oh, look, I was listening to a podcast recently where someone was talking about exactly that, saying because of the way that our food is grown and produced, we can't often be guaranteed, even with me growing, buying organic, I don't know how it's grown and the soil and all that kind of stuff. Unless you're growing it yourself and you know the nutrients that you're putting in, you can't be guaranteed that you're getting what you need to out of it. So, I totally get that. And people can I'm not here to argue whether you have supplements or not. I certainly have them in my world every single day. So, and so do my kids. But again, I think it speaks volumes to the food that's being
definitely
provided for us to buy and to consume. So it really does speak volumes that we need it so much.
Yeah, we do. And good quality, obviously, good quality products, without buffers and fillers and yeah. So I'm blessed that I've got the ability to be able to purchase stuff like that. So, and access it, So, yeah, and it works because you do feel a difference when you're not taking it. Yeah.
Totally agree with you. And I think the other thing, someone did say to me recently that if you don't have access to good food, you've got a backyard. So you can grow your own.
Yeah, you can.
And, and I'm in the process of teaching myself. I've got to plant my seedlings and transfer them into pots this week. So that's a bit exciting for me. I'm, trialing some stuff because I'm actually not good at growing anything. But I thought, that's a really good point. If you've got a backyard, then you've got the ability to grow your own food and then you know where it's coming from. And you've also got neighbours, get to know them. Why don't you each grow something that can support each other? There is definitely
some nets because the birds are going to pick out all your seedlings.
Well, I love it. You've grown up with veggie gardens. You've absolutely grown up with veggie gardens.
Because otherwise the next day you're going to get there and go, where the hell's my plants? Make sure you need to cover them.
And look, there is so much information out there that can teach you, and it can be overwhelming when you're first looking at it. But and that's the same for having a look at naturopaths and going down the natural remedy path. It can be really overwhelming at first. And I would say to anyone that's on their own health journey is just take it by steps. You're not going to click your fingers and have everything solved in one go. It is going to take time. If you've had health issues for a long time, then removing that from your body and allowing your body to come back to a place of good health, it's going to take time as well. So you need to be patient and kind and allow your body to heal the way that it needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. And whilst we're still here, you can do that. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. You can still, the cells are ticking over, they're changing, and you can put in the right elements to get you back.
Did I read recently about your gut lining regenerates? Is it an hours, like a day situation? Is it like 72 or is it something like that? Did I read that correctly?
So your mucous membranes, right, is the quickest part of the body to heal.
Yes, I've cut my tongue several times. I know.
Yeah.
So that amazes me. When I read that, I was like, wow. So constantly our body, I mean, every year, every cell in our body regenerates and renews itself. So that absolutely blew my mind to know how quickly the gut can actually, but I mean, it's got a whole bunch of other stuff that it supports as well. So that takes the time, the organs and all that kind of stuff that it supports around it that are impacted by it, like your liver and kidney and all that stuff. Even lungs, that really surprised me many, many years ago, learning that my gut health was actually causing an impact on how I was breathing and the ability for my lungs to fill up. It was like, because I was running and I was really struggling to breathe. And when I saw a naturopath, it must have been 6 years ago, and they were like, well, gut health, leaky gut. And I went, what? And they explained it all to me, and I just mind blown about how much gut health and metabolic health, like your metabolism, absolutely changes everything. Karina, you're amazing. I feel like I've just learned a whole bunch of stuff, and I've been, I love it. And I've just become a bit more aware about, some things that I perhaps might need to look at as well. So I do love that. But I love your practices and the generosity of time, and being a client of yours, I know how generous you are with the information that you give and how passionate you are about this. But I love it because it's all science-based. It's not like your little, hey, let's slap some fish on you or whatever. There's none of that going on. It is genuinely all science, which is what I've loved about naturopathy over the years and natural therapies is it's actually science-based.
It is.
It's cell-based, body-based. Now, I also want to know, how do people get in contact with you if they're wanting some information?
So you can either email me at reception@infinitehealthpractice.com.au.
Yep.
Or you can send me a text on 0409 510094. Or if you'd like to book, we do have virtual bookings online. So you just go to www.infinitehealthpractice.com.au and you can go in there and book your virtual bookings on Mondays and Thursdays. And the beauty of that is I can really support anyone anywhere now. So
and I can speak to that. I've had virtual bookings and absolutely gotten a lot out of them, and very much weird putting my tongue up to the camera and all that kind of sending photos of like my hands and whatever else, but like I get it. I know your body is very much like absorbing everything around you and absorbing everything you put into it. We are porous creatures, so to speak, so we absorb everything. This has been amazing. Thank you so much. You're so generous in what you do and how you share and how passionate and your knowledge. And I'm incredibly grateful to have shared this time with you. And I can't wait to share this out there because I know lots of people are going to gain a huge amount of benefit from just having a different level of awareness and perhaps a different view on how they can obtain and lean into their own good health.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm here to teach. So once you learn it, that's it.
Yeah, then you teach other people, which I love as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your time. Thanks, Karina. And we'll see you next time on Connected Conversations. Bye for now. To connect with Karina, please head to her website, infinitehealthpractice.com.au. To connect with me, head to my website, emmamuir.com. Enjoy your day.